In this video, I'm going to talk about 6 reasons that you should consider investing in mortgage notes. Reason number 1 is cash flow. So if you're buying a performing note, you're functioning just kind of like a bank. You own this loan. The borrower makes payments to your loan servicer, which then gets passed on to you, minus some servicing fees. In many ways, not that much different than owning a rental property, although it can have a lot fewer moving parts than a rental property. That's why a lot of people like this. Reason number 2 is you can often get higher returns than you can in other forms of real estate investing. So if you're buying performing notes, there are a lot of things that vary in note investing. But in general, if you're buying decent quality performing mortgage notes, you can get annualized returns of about 8 to 15%, depending on the parameters of the loan, how much risk you're taking on, or how safe that investment is. Like anything else in note investing, there's no free lunch. There's no free higher return. But most of the reason you're able to get these higher returns is that this is a little more of a niche industry. Not as many people know how to do it. And so there's not as much demand for them. That's why you can often get double digit returns, but then you can also take on as much or as little risk as you so choose. And then on non-performing notes, you can sometimes get extremely large returns, and it's certainly not an average. That's not something I would go in expecting, but I have had deals where I've made over 100%, sometimes in less than a year. So note investing when things go well can be very lucrative. So number 3 is there's less competition. So I've already kind of alluded to this one, but if you're trying to do fix and flips or looking for cash flowing rentals, depending on the market you're in, there could be everybody and their brother out there chasing the same deal, which means either you get locked out or it gets bid up and you might end up overpaying. It can be a challenge. Now, note investing, a lot fewer people know how to be a note investor. It's not that it's that hard, it's just you need a little bit of specialized knowledge and you need to take a little bit of time to learn how these things work. If you do, you can now find deals with good returns with a lot less competition. Nobody knows exactly how many note investors are out there that are active. A couple years ago at Note Expo, I believe I heard Eddie Speed mention that he thought there were about 6,000 that were active. I've done some searches in LinkedIn looking at people with note investing in their profile. And my estimate is maybe it's more like 8 to 10,000. It's hard to say, but definitely far far fewer than other folks out there looking for other kinds of real estate deals. Reason number 4 you should consider notes is you can avoid some of those issues related to being a landlord and dealing with rentals. When you're a note investor, you're owning the paper, you're not actually owning the property. And so that can be easier from the standpoint of necessarily dealing with property managers or getting calls about busted toilets in the middle of the night and things like that. Now, the rub is if you go into non-performing notes or if you buy a performing note, it becomes non-performing, you start taking it through foreclosure and you end up with an REO. Now you can get all of those problems that you could have with rentals and then some sometimes. So that's the rub. But if you're buying these for cash flow and you're buying high quality performing notes, you can save yourself a lot of headaches versus what you might have to encounter with a rental property. And then reason number 5 is if your goal is to actually get the property. So I mentioned there are cash flowing notes, there are non-performing notes. What some people do if they're doing, let's say, fix and flips, or they want to rehab properties and turn them into rentals or turnkey rentals or things like that, but they're finding it difficult to acquire REOs in their area, note investing can be a lower cost way to acquire property. So what you can do in this case is buy a non-performing note, maybe on a property that's already vacant, and use that as a way to get the property at a lower cost than, say, an REO at a sheriff's auction or something else where it may be getting bid up. You can often buy non-performing notes at a very significant discount, especially when they're distressed to the point where you kind of know if you buy the note and work it out, you're going to end up with the property. That can be a good way to get property at a lower price than you would be able to otherwise. And then number six is it's a great way to grow your IRA. So within my self-directed IRA, I own a bunch of performing notes that I basically let sit there and let them cash flow to me. If you haven't considered a self-directed IRA, just in general for real estate, it can be a really nice way to diversify your retirement holdings. Um, Now, I still have a lot of my retirement holdings in traditional investments like stocks, but those are very swingy. You don't really have control. If you want to put retirement funds into things like bonds, the yields get very, very low. So, IRA, using an IRA for notes can be a really good way to get better returns within your retirement account. So, that's 6 ways or 6 reasons that you might consider investing in notes. And as always, if you want to learn more, please subscribe to our YouTube channel or check out our website at fusionnotes.com. We can get a lot more free information. Thanks.